Yes, hello and welcome to the panel, The Power of Engagement. And as you all know, so I'm Nate, your panel host, and I'm going to moderate this. It's not about my opinion, but we have four experts here answering the question, how can we grab the attention? As you all know, this is harder and harder, and how can we use Web3 technologies? And I'm going to make a small introduction. So I'm here with Nadini from Sorare, probably the best known Web3 game out there. So they know very well how to do engagement. I'm also here with Lucas from Poet Studio. They are a Web3 loyalty application, probably also one of the biggest out here. I'm with Florian from Mint. Mint is a Gen Z alpha loyalty platform focusing also on Web3. And then we have Fabian from Definity. Definity is an ICP company. And translating this for you, it's a blockchain, so you can build application on top of that. And with this, I would say let's start. And it's not about me, so it's about you. Nadini, maybe looking back to where we're coming from, can you tell the audience how are strategies in the traditional world changing in the digital one? And maybe you can also define what digital means for you, as this is also a different for everyone.
Sure. Thank you, Nate, for the introduction. Very happy to be here at DMEXCO. So thank you for the invitation. So I'm just going to talk about my day. I woke up, received about 10 emails from my favorite brands, logged onto Instagram, watched about 10 advertisements, and then saw my favorite influencers talk about brands. So it is hard for a brand today to emerge. And the loyalty programs and engagement programs that really are traditional, like rewards and points, I believe not enough today. We need to engage and create really long-lasting relationship with the brands. And so I think that's where Web3 can really bring a difference, because with the Web3 and NFTs, you can really create ownership and engagement, and that is so important today. Maybe just to give you an example, at Sorare, we have unique experiences, unique rewards that we give to our users. So for example, so we have like sports fan, and we can offer them flying with their favorite team, playing with Zidane. These are one-of-a-kind experiences, and these are the types of rewards that today create meaningful relationship. And I think this is interesting for brands. It's because nowadays how we see our users and our community is more than just users. It's really brand advocates. And I think that this is really important for new brands today.
Nice, thank you. Asking you the same question, Florian, how do you see it? Like, we just heard that we're turning customers into brand ambassadors. What's your opinion on that, and how do you see this?
Exactly. Yeah, I can only totally agree on your opinion. So when we talk to our customers in consultancy projects about, or the goal is to increase engagement, it's almost about two things. One is community building, and the other one is gamification. Especially when you look at Generation Z and Generation Alpha, the normal transaction-based engagement process is not working anymore. If you do something and then you give them a 10% coupon code or something, it's not fun for them. So brands really have to go from this unidirectional communication basis to more like a discussion with their target group to really engage them and build a not a transactional based loyalty, but a emotionally based loyalty. So that's why we focus a lot about community building in our projects.
Nice. So Lucas.
Well, hi everybody. Hello. Hi from being here. To me, digital and NFTs is very tied to what POAP, the proof of attendance, is. It's about this emotional moment that you get to keep with you, not because you won a prize or not because you had money, but because you were there cognitively, right? the engagement, the attention at some moment is because you were there, you connected with the people around you, and you connected that moment, and you collected that moment. That's what we've been doing the last years, couple of years, millions of NFTs and POAPs minted. And in the fact that it is so widely used is because it tackles something that is very, very basic. At the end of the day, everyone likes to collect stuff, right? For the sake of it. You collect tickets from the metro, or writing letters from your loved ones, or perfumes, or sneakers. And POAP is this solution where it's super easy to collect this moment. Could be a conference, could be a birthday, could be a marriage. We've seen many, many great ideas, and hopefully we get to make companies or communities using it each time more. And it's true that we've been seeing a lot of success in that.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally true that we are all collectors, and we all have our favorite collections. Very nice one. Playing the ball to you, Fabian. You using or working as a blockchain infrastructure layer, how do you utilize the blockchain for engagement and for companies building on top of the infrastructure layer?
Yeah, so for us, Internet Computer Protocol, blockchain is the backbone of our existence. So what we try here at Internet Computer is to provide a secure, transparent, decentralized computing provider environment like AWS or Azure, with the huge difference that there are no gatekeepers in between. So we can directly build softwares and solutions on the Internet Computer. And having those members, co-innovators, contributors on this journey, our job is it actually to provide a platform where they can co-create, innovate together. And what is important for us with regards to blockchain technology, we want to have a new distribution of wealth with regards to community. So who is contributing? Those people are earning more, get more recognition, get certain rewards. It's a lot about security on our side. It's a lot about decentralization. And I think the main use case so far is actually making it very easy to use by the user, to use the application. So a lot of UI and UX is coming into space as well. And how we do it as well with regards to NFTs, for instance, in our educational programs, we have those certifications for Web2 developers, or if founders of Web2 want to move into Web3, they can get certified, receive certain NFTs, and actually directly engage with us, which helps us a lot.
That's very cool. And you already touched on what makes the Web3 space so special, and probably the audience know what is broken in current marketing and engagement and how hard it is to grab the attention. So now the question is really, why should the audience here adopt Web3 technologies? And probably that's a question that you all have in mind, and you have so much to do, so many opportunities. Lucas, asking you as the first, how do you, or like, tell the audience, how can we use Web3 to measure, like, KPI, or what are the new KPIs to measure, also that you're utilizing with POAP?
Well,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, and well, data on chain is something that is public, and at some moment anyone can build on top of it. So why this whole conference should hear what we have to say and move to Web3 is because the data that is generated, not only it's owned by the user, which is a full new spectrum of mindset to have, but it's also an information that other companies or other groups or other communities can build on top of it. So I guess if we have some form of digital professional history, we all had these integration stories, integration problems, where having two databases communicating between each other is always a nightmare, it's always complicated, and it's never what you thought it would be. So now we have this chain or multi-chain ecosystem, but still the information by definition is open, anonymous, and public. And so the more you put in, it's more you can put out, because then if your partners do the same, you have a story that builds together, and you don't need to ask for some permission, and you don't need to ask for data APIs. It's all there. So it's more of a creative mindset, a new creative mindset that can take place instead of the technical aspect that we lived from the last 20 years that is about APIs, coding, databases, access points, etc. And it's more about creating a story together with information that is on chain. So that is why I would recommend anyone having their first experience being collecting an asset, having a POAP, or whatever that suits your need, if it's art, but you will see that information gets in a pool of information that is buildable upon it.
Yeah, I only can agree that Web3 is all about shared public databases. I think that's the core layer, making it also very transparent, which is also a very big use case in Web3. And maybe, Fabian, you want to add anything on that, or also telling the audience from your point of view how gamification within the blockchain can also utilize engagement and makes this more appealing for the audience.
Yeah, so gamification plays a huge role for us. I'm always fascinated by children when they play for the sake of playing and not for the sake of achieving a goal. And I think grown-ups are, yes, stopped to a certain degree. And so how we manage our community is also in a playful way. So we always try to connect with each other. We try to share experiences with others. We are very open-minded what should be improved, what should be done. We have certain collectibles in place that we trade, that we exchange, and so on. So this is really powerful. And I think you can see it in two ways. On the one hand, it's for us everything with regards to engagement that takes place online. So for us, it's our developer courses, people that want to transition from Web 2 to Web 3. So we actually call it playgrounds. So we have certain new programming language like Motoko, for instance, and people can do peer coding. They can have real-time challenges. They can give real-time feedback. And this helps us actually in a playful way to teach, to train, to improve, and to get better.
Nice. Yeah, we just mentioned gaming, and there's no one else better to answer the question how we can leverage community engagement or also build community engagement with shared databases, but then also with gamification. And Nadini, maybe you can tell the audience how you built Sorare, and you, in a short time, you really leveraged your community by incentivizing them. So maybe you can tell the audience about this.
I think what is really interesting with Web3 is that it is the era of ownership and engagement. And for brands, this is really essential because it's how, as I mentioned before, you create these meaningful relationships and you create these super engaged communities. At Sorare, we created in less than 4 years a 5 million user base, which is incredible, driven by the passion of sport. And it's a very community-centric marketing approach. And what we do is that we're really thinking of our communities as owners, as investors of our brand. And they really help us shape the product. And I'm going to give you a very concrete example.
Yes, please.
Every time we launch a new feature, every time we do a marketing campaign, our, I would say, traditional marketing or KPI indicators, which could be CPM, impressions, we don't look at that. The first thing we do, we go on Discord, we go on Twitter, and we look at how the community reacts. That shows the power of our community. And I think it's about co-creation and really about making them, as I mentioned previously, becoming more than just super users, but brand advocates. This is like how I believe Sorare really performed well in less than 4 years without any marketing budget. Like, I mean, we did like a bit of marketing, but it was relatively low compared to just like us nurturing this community.
And maybe adding one point, just how did you start? Because if we now have this audience and they switching into Web3, so how do you really start building these brand advocates in the first place, incentivizing them?
I think first is having a great product, and the utility part of it, digital tokenization, is really important. I believe that for a sports fan, having, as I mentioned, the ability to meet up with their favorite players is an amazing utility and an amazing award. So I think maybe those are the two aspects that were really important, but having a great product, a great game, and amazing NFTs and rewards really played for us building this amazing community.
Nice, thank you. So building great products is still the core, even so you can't build a community around having not a good product. And maybe to you, because this is now an interesting question, so, and I'm happy also to hear the other opinions about this, but first asking you, Florian, do you think that there's a difference between Gen Z and Alpha making use of this new way of brand advocates, or is this really applying to every ages, to the audience, and how do you consult a project on that, maximizing the strategies?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think you can build brand advocates over every age, because if we look at brands like Apple, maybe our parents are also really fighting for it when somebody talks about Android. But I think using the power of Web3, Generation Z and Generation Alpha are leveraging this a lot more, because there are studies that the digital identity is more worth for them than their real one. And how can you build your digital entity without really owning the assets that forms it? So I think, yeah, if you want to address the younger target group, this is a very good way to give them a voice, let them shape your product or your company with you, collect data. This is also one of the KPIs we look a lot about, because like we all know, cookie restrictions are getting a lot more. So combining Web 2 and Web 3 data to one customer profile can be a very good way to sharpen the picture of the target group, and giving also more individualization, what's very important for the younger group.
Yeah, that's, yeah, so we now know, okay, we use brand advocates for community leveraging. We look not at traditional KPIs, but rather on how is the community really talking about our product. Lucas, do you have an opinion how, because you tracking this with all the POAPs, so how can we use POAPs in these strategies to also leverage community engagement?
Well, it's the basic usage of POAPs that is rewarding with a moment, with a digital collectible about that experience that the community had. So, but those are basically the KPIs, right? That is about celebrating the moment, having the ownership of it, and then it's up to the brand to build a story on top of this, meaning that what happens when you have the digital certification that as a brand and as a community member, we've interacted as many times. Or we have interacted 3 times in Twitter Space, 1 in a conference and 1 in a stadium. It's a full new set of capabilities, and it's a full new set of stories, because it's not about liking on the Facebook or about posting a picture on Instagram. It's not even attending that much of a Twitter Space, but it's how the trail and how the story builds together when you have that proof of attendance, that proof of attention. And of course, why traditional loyalty program exists on the transactional aspect is because transaction is easy to control or to measure. You have a buying, you have another buying, you have another buying, and companies they usually track the transactions. But now we have new aspects on how you collaborate, how you integrate, how you co-create, how you participate, how you engage, and that's what POA brings, and that's what that is very celebrated on our community or the communities that we serve, because it's so easy and so pure. Pure is a strong word, but still, there is no financial aspect. Anyone can collect a pop-up of the moment that it participates. And again, we've seen this for marriages, like a digital souvenir. It's so simple as that. But what happens when on a community side, on a company side, on a brand side, you now have the tooling to distribute and having people collect those moments. And what is the utility? What is the story that now is redeemable, right? Okay, I've been to all of your collections for the last 10 years. I have the proof of it. What's in for me? Am I a super fan? Am I a collaborator? Do I have some form of equity? All of those questions are not yet answered, but the good thing is that we are moving the pendulum from this data and ad ecosystem where everything is for free and we are the product, to a world where we own that data, and now it's a new conversation. I wouldn't say it's an easy conversation to have, because what is being an owner of something means responsibility and means expecting something on the other side.
Yeah. We're going in a second to how the future going to look like. I just want to ask Fabian one question. Okay, we talked about super users, and we're going to talk in a moment how this going to being displayed in the future. But Fabian, before becoming a super user, and you have these brands now adapting Web3 technologies, you need a lot of education. And you, as Dfinity, also you need to do a lot of educational work. So maybe you can add 2 sentences on that. And just following with the question, how do you see the future emerging from this education on?
Exactly. Regarding your first question, I think it's just continuous effort, and as it is in marketing most of the time, it's all about consistency. So you really need to be there, you really need to educate, you really need to post every day if you want to have it as your marketing strategy. So you need to be on site and you need to be visible offline as well. And regarding the second question, for us, we can track and analyze due to blockchain technology across various platforms and industries, and in combination with social media, actually, we have a very good idea what our users, our distributors, our contributors actually need. So that's a high level of personalization. So we already can anticipate and foresee what is a user or potential co-innovator, what does this person need in a particular time. And this is very, very powerful what we can make use of with regards to the future. What I also think what changed a lot, or is already changing, is not just single route customer journey. So it's nowadays like really bottom up, it's circular, how you engage with each other. You're moving away from pure products into designing and creating projects together. And this is something where you need to facilitate a certain collaborational platform. So what is interesting here, I think, is the point of sale. Of course, everyone wants to sell something and wants to have the sale in place, but nowadays it's more what happens after the customer or the contributor bought something. And normally the brand is asking, hey, are you still loyal to me? You get your points, you get rewarded, you can do something with it. But those are most of the time not the users you want. They are not co-investing. They just go away once a better offer comes in or somebody has a better quality. So nowadays, actually, the users ask, are you still loyal to me, dear brand? Do you recognize me? Do you provide me with value? And do you also distribute it equally in the community? And I think this is a massive shift on brand loyalty. So I think, yeah, personalization, social media, and also this brand loyalty changes a lot, and brands need to make use of it in terms of actually creating their own communities, their own fans, and co-invent with them.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thought, that now with this adopting new Web3 technologies, you can really see, okay, who's your super user, who engaged the most with my product, who bought also my product in the past. So all data that are not visible right now. And the cool thing is that you can display this on Instagram, for example, in the future. So Nadini, as you built this super engaging game, you know best, okay, who's like the most engaged people in our in your community. So how do you envision this future? Like, what do you plan to further engage them, or like creating new relations with your super users, but also with the people who are not interacting that much with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting because Web3 was kind of like a one direction type of like brand was giving out content to the users. I feel with Web3 we're it's a real communication, and it's about understanding the users, getting their feedback, shaping your product according to that feedback. But it's also about like these like super users and this community-centric approach and marketing approach. I think like how we see it is like there's a lever that's on top of it, and how do you include these like super users even in your marketing approach? And I'm going to talk about this example about one of our users. He's called John Nellis. He's based out in the UK. He was an air controller who started playing Sorare. He got so good at it that he started creating content, and he generated in less than 3 years 500K followers on TikTok, on YouTube. So he basically became an influencer, and now he's not working anymore. He's solely doing that, but he's also being part of our campaign. So he's creating content for us. He got the opportunity to meet with Gerard Piqué to interview him. He was in our latest brand campaign, and I think that this really shows how we are bringing value to our community. And at the end of the day, I think this is what a brand really wants to focus on, is bringing value, not only products, services, but really value. And this is an example among many others. Here in Germany, we've got also an amazing guy called Fiago, who is sharing all his sports knowledge, and that is, I would say, the fundamental about Sorare. It's like passions, sports and technology that you're sharing with the rest of the community and even above. So I think this is like what we're super excited about, is creating this engaged community that are serving us as the best brand ambassadors.
Very cool. Yeah, so I also envision this future, and I'm also probably have this hypothesis that in the future we're going to look at our Instagram profiles and we're going to see, okay, I engaged most for Sorare, I engaged most for POAP, and this is how also we share socially where we engaged, and we are socially recognized by this. Florian, we heard that the shift of like consumers demanding brands, or like, do you recognize me as your super loyal customer, is coming. Like, this is probably also something coming up from Gen Z and Alpha. So how do you envision this future, and also with this new generation coming up in the future?
Yeah, so I think we had a lot of the points already today. So I think a big point is co-creation. I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha really wants to participate in their brand. We see this in the first projects from the big brands outside in Web3. A big part was really giving your opinion on stuff, voting for different things, and then go over the whole journey with the product or the brand. And the other one is also mentioned today. I think community building is a big part of it. You really need to engage them, build a relationship with them, because it's easy to undercut your competitors, to give like 50% coupon code and then they will buy the product, but these are the least valuable customers you want to get. That's why you really should focus on retaining your customers over a long time. And we also know that the 10% of the most loyal customers make most of your revenue in the end. So this is what we see with the younger target group. You need to engage them, build them brand ambassadors. And what I would recommend to everybody here is also build your own ecosystem for this. You can use social media, but it's very hard to get the data out of it. And also you can't combine like rewarding and community together. So that's why, our own ecosystem is a good point.
Yeah, cool. That's a very nice recommendation for the audience. I hope you noted that. And Lucas, now we're shortly on time, but maybe giving you the last recommendation to the audience. We spoke about why they should adopt Web3, but now like really looking forward, how do you envision this future, and also why now it is the time to adopting this technology?
Great question. So for some of us that we've been a couple of years in this ecosystem and building and believing in the technology, what I truly believe is that in the next 12 months, there's going to be there's standards that have been declared and that developers are building upon, making the onboarding experience way simpler. I would assume that today we are like in the early 90s of the older internet, where you would have had to connect to the internet, you would have to have your own computer and build your own servers and connect it to whatever. And it was complicated. Some people did, most people didn't. And then the AOL, American Online situation came, and the Hotmails and what some of us know. That moment is coming. I mean, the standards are put in place, and it's coming. So don't be afraid. And there was a lot of scams and a lot of weird stuff. It's okay. Whenever you go into the Wild West, there is weird stuff. But I would say a new wave of standards are coming. People are building on those standards, and the infrastructure and the UX. I mean, up to now it was a Web3 for techies. Hopefully, designers are coming around because the UX is simpler, and that means that there's a new opportunity to understand what is digital ownership, and it's not mandatory to have a PFP or to buy art. We'll see what it means, but it's about having your ownership of your own information and not having a big company, taking profit out of it. Yep. So the whole recommendation that I have is be curious. If you're here, that's a good step. And expect new UXs, new designs, new stories being built on top of it.
Yeah.
Because what you heard about MetaMask and everything that was complicated, it was. But now we're moving to an area where we don't need to build computers and servers in order to connect to the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, we have the AOL CD, and it's going to work.
Thank you. Thank you for this recommendation. And we are on point. So thank you for your attention. This was the power of engagement. Feel free to talk to the speakers, to the experts, just next to the stage afterwards. Thank you so much for being here. And we're looking forward to the Web3 future.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.